The ordeal of 41 workers trapped in Silkyara tunnel in Uttarakhand ended after 17 days and 400 hours of superb teamwork. The operation was a perfect example of Indian resilience. When Indians decide to work together, they could meet biggest challenges. Today, we have with us Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain, member NDMA, which was one of the main agencies leading the rescue operation. General Saab had been entrusted with a big responsibility. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and Jai Hind to all our viewers.
Jai Hind, sir. Sir, being the member of NDMA, a successful rescue operation must have been quite a relief and a matter of big satisfaction for you.
No doubt that this was a operation of its own kind, absolutely. But I would compliment the nation, the complete nation, for this, and the fact that it was top-driven from the Prime Minister himself, the Prime Minister's office, the important main ministries, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and then the NDMA, NDRF, the Indian Army, and the Indian Air Force, and various other infrastructure agencies, the ONGC, the Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam Limited, the BRO. I mean, so many agencies came forward, the foreign experts who were brought on board. And finally, at the end of the day, at the lowest level, to do the last bit of work, the so-called rat hole miners. So this is really a all of India effort. I think this kind of a thing has never been achieved before.
Absolutely, sir. It was amazing. Sir, you were performing a very important role of passing on detailed information about the rescue operation to the entire country. Communication and rescue operation plays a major role for it to become a success. What was going through your mind when you were briefing the country?
See, this is a very relevant question. And in India, usually people do not ask this question. But slowly, I'm very happy that this realization is coming about in India that in any challenging situation, whether it be a war, whether it be an accident, whether it be a disaster of any kind, public information is an extremely important entity. It keeps the public enthused, it keeps them well informed on the truth, transparently on the truth, keeps their confidence going, does not create any unnecessary expectations, and does not put undue pressure on those agencies which are involved in the work right there. In this particular case, also, no pressure on the relatives who were camping there. Many of them who were away. They were well informed. So the task of bringing this information with all the necessary technical details, etc., and the confidence building was being performed by NDMA. And I dare say we had our linkages with everything which was happening on the spot. We had our linkages with all the ministries. We had our linkages with the PMO. And we were alive to all the decision making which was taking place, the challenges which were coming up from time to time, particularly at the time when for example, the auger machine broke down,
Yes.
the kind of disappointment which would have perhaps gone ahead at that time. We tried our best to make sure that we gave a confidence to the nation to tell them that
Right.
this is not the only method that we are using. The government has made this into almost a war zone. We have looked at every single option that we are looking at here, examining. So if one option fails, many more other options will open up. So it's with this kind of a process of transparent information exchange which was taking place that confidence building was being carried out with the population.
Yes, sir. Sir, this operation is a fresh case study when all Indians, irrespective of their caste or religion, they came together for a cause. You have led many teams before, large teams in the Indian Army. But how was this experience of being a part of such a team in recent times?
See, one of the things was very clear. My previous experience of 40 years was in the army. Yes, in a place like Kashmir, we had lots of multiple agencies working together, mostly uniformed forces. We had intelligence agencies, we had the local public and the population. So I was personally quite used to it, right?
Yes.
But this business of doing of coming together of different organizations within the government, multiple, there were at least 25 organizations which were working here, foreigners coming on board, consultation open to everyone. The government had opened up its lines. My own mobile was jammed. I was getting a message every 10 seconds.
Yes.
Offering me services, free of cost. Offering me services. It
Amazing.
was India at its best. I've never seen India like this. India at its best. Everyone was praying for those 41 people, irrespective of which God you pray to. Everyone was praying, right? And no one looked at the caste, creed, or religion of the 41 there. I don't even know till today what they were. I only know from which states they perhaps came, right? But everyone just joined together and carried out this effort. Of course, it was led by right from the top by the Honorable Prime Minister, who made it a point to make sure that 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a day he was taking feedback, giving instructions, despite the fact that he was on the road many, many times. The Prime Minister's Principal Secretary, Dr. Mishra, was personally absorbing this, analyzing it himself and with his staff, and then passing directions, moving himself physically to the ground, speaking to the workers there, giving them that necessary confidence boost which was required, giving a boost to all the working agencies which were there. I think, I don't know if I've left out anyone, but there are still many, many people more to acknowledge. But then ultimately it was all of India. So we have to acknowledge the whole of India.
Absolutely. Sir, like you talked about the PM's hands-on approach, PM Narendra Modi's hands-on approach for the rescue, and his personal interest in the success of the operation was truly remarkable, as you've said. But tell us, how was, obviously it was more effective, this approach of, it must have gone a long way in boosting the morale of the team members and that of the trapped workers, isn't it, sir?
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. You see, it was becoming very evident that there were enough people going to the spot. I think Mr. Nitin Gadkari was the Honorable Minister for Road Transport and Highways, was the senior most person who went there. We had the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. We had General VK Singh leading the whole operation. I mean, he was back to war, and he was camping there. There were lots of people who had clambered on board, who had made their services available. I know General Harpal Singh, who was the ex-Director General Border Roads. He had offered his services, and his services were taken, and he went there. He was picked up from Dehradun by helicopter and transported there. His being there, his advice there, wise counsel. What you were essentially looking for was wise counsel, right? And in the midst of that, people were speaking, informing people inside, see, this is what is happening exactly. So many people have come here to advise, to take stock. The Prime Minister himself is intervening in this. So obviously the motivation, morale of the people inside, the relatives who were outside, who were speaking to their dear ones inside, all of them were enthused. The important thing in this is, this operation terminated in 17 days. My estimate, it could have gone on for 45 days. It could have gone on for 50 days. Because we had different options which would have taken that long. I think the workers would have, the survivability, the ability to hold on would have been intact. They would have stayed there for 60 days and he would have still pulled them out. But that's the kind of motivation and morale which had been built up.
Right. But sir, we are curious, in between, so many decisions must have been taken, and so many teams were involved. So how was the decision making happening? I mean, like every step must have been, there must be a lot of consultation, isn't it?
There was tremendous consultation on the ground which was taking place, and no one was interfering with the technical agencies. General VK Singh was there, the Secretary, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways was there, the NHDIL Managing Director was there, all other agencies had representatives. There was even Mr. Gildial from the Prime Minister's office who was personally there, so he was the link who was there available for any passage of information and decision required from the PMO. I don't think that occasion really rose, but the technical inputs were all coming in and decision was being taken appropriately. Now, there are lots of discussions which inevitably happen post-event, that
Right.
the miners should have been sent in earlier, the rat hole miners would probably have been able to achieve this in an earlier time frame, etc. I mean, you can debate this. You can
Right.
debate this, like you can debate the composition of the Indian cricket team on the 19th of November. I could have made 5 more teams and we would have done perhaps equally well, right? So similarly, everyone has got an opinion, and if we are a democratic country, we thrive in this business of having different, diverse opinion. Let that opinion be there, right? Everyone before the World Cup final, everyone was a cricket expert. Here, before the 41 came out, everyone was a tunneling expert. That's how it is. Always in our nation. It's very good. It's a very energizing kind of a feeling that is given.
Energy.
Very democratic kind of approach to things. So I think we should live with that. This is not criticism. People are saying, so this should have been done or that should have been done. Fine, very good. We didn't do that. We did this. Right, and we felt under the circumstances this was the best decision at that particular time, and that has paid dividends. If it didn't pay dividends, perhaps you could have taken us to task, but it did. It paid dividends at the end of it.
Absolutely, there's so many afterthoughts. But sir, tell us that your experience in the army must have been since the army was also involved, Air Force was also involved. And that resilience and that determination, that must have gone a long way, your experience in the army, into the success of the entire operation, the entire army, your boots on the ground, working out there.
See, every person who's involved in this kind of rescue work is a soldier on the ground. Right. That's why throughout my media briefs also, I kept telling people we are at war. Our enemy is the debris which is lying there. Our enemy is everything which has fallen there. Our friends and our implements are all with us. We have to get our harness, our resources, and go through this. The enemy will fight back against us from time to time. This was the way I was looking at it, right? Right. This is how we approach it in the armed forces. We look at everything in this particular manner. That is an operation. An operation has to have obstacles against it coming up. We must not get stuck by those obstacles. We should know how to overcome them. So I think this was a very important aspect of it. The ethos, typical military ethos, was present in the entire environment there. Yes. Very, very good. I'm not saying that the military profession is the best profession. All these professions, all the great professions there, the infrastructure engineers, the people on the ground, the medical people who were doing a fantastic job there, every one of them was playing a soldier's role. Right. I mean, in my thinking is always a soldier's role. It can be someone else can think it's a policeman's role. Fine. We are all wedded to our professions and our experiences in life. I call it, this is a typical soldier's role. And everyone was performing it marvelously. We had a leader on top, just like it happens in any organization in the military. We had a leader on top. He had a secretariat and an organization under him. The leader was taking the call, giving directions from time to time. And his secretariat was doing all the analysis. That's the PMO, was doing all the analysis and ensuring that everyone was taken on board as far as the decisions were concerned.
Absolutely. Those are very tough conditions out there in this cold. But sir, NHIDCL MD Mahmood Ahmed Saab, you and other Muslims, I've heard there were some rat hole, workers also who were out there working in the operation. They were involved in these operations. People in Ramnagar mosques were praying for the success of rescue operation. This goes on to show that teamwork of Indians could meet any challenges. When it comes to any major crisis, it is the Indianness which prevails. What are your thoughts?
In the first part of your statement, I won't go along with you. There was no identity here. There was no identity. No one was carrying the color of his faith or the flag of his faith in any way or displaying it. No one knew who was inside. Who is inside and who is doing it? I don't know. No one knows what I am. We were all performing our task. But this question was asked from me by someone as to what is the role of faith in such difficult operations. And we took a cue from the fact that there was a deity kept outside, and even Mr. Dix, the expert from Australia, was seen prostrating before that, right? So I was reminded immediately that when I was climbing up the Siachen Glacier, we also had a similar thing. We had a cave and we had O.P. Baba there. No one knew the faith of O.P. Baba, right? But every unit which went up, Sikh, Hindu, Muslim or Christian, everyone saluted, everyone did a matha teko there and went up with the firm belief that O.P. Baba would look after him. Faith, divinity, intervention by the divine is a very important belief in Indianness.
Right.
All of us are Indian, right? You Bhartiyata, we call it Bhartiyata, the Indianness in us. We've got a natural propensity to look for a divine intervention. And that's what we look towards always. It doesn't matter which religion or which faith or which caste or which creed you belong to. That's the spirit with which we have functioned in the armed forces always. That's the spirit with which I think the rest of India also functions mostly, except maybe an odd aberration here and there.
Yes, absolutely. Sir, do you agree that we Indians are now in a position to safeguard our fellow citizens like never before? And we can go to any extent to protect them. Maybe the rescue of 46 nurses from Iraq, Indians in Afghanistan, or students trapped in Ukraine war. What does this tell us about we, the Indians? Prime Minister Modi takes personal interest in the safety of all Indians in distress. This is something unprecedented, isn't it?
Actually, the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, has established a very high benchmark, which is on this issue of intervention and saving of lives. COVID, I mean, what a huge operation it was to bring back people from all over the world, right? Bring back Indians from all over the world. In the face of all kinds of issues in Sudan, we could bring them back. Started quite some time back. We also brought them back from different other locations around the world. So this benchmark which has been created, we'll have to persist with. And it's become a part of our, should I say, a part of our existential doctrine.
Right.
It's an unsaid doctrine. If there is a problem somewhere and there are Indians stuck there, it is the duty of the government of India, and it will move everything, every resource possible to make sure that they get those Indians back here.
Right. And this is very consistent, we have seen in last 7 years.
This is a policy decision and they're following it, executing it marvelously.
Right. And sir, also hats off to the patients of the workers who were trapped there, because when we get stuck, I mean, if I get stuck in lift for a few minutes, I get claustrophobic, breathless, but that the patients were also remarkable, and of course they had support of the entire country, but then they must have had their joyous moment after coming out, and now they must be celebrating Diwali with their families, isn't it, sir?
You see, the forbearance, the resilience, as you very correctly said in the beginning, of this segment of people is so strong in India. Their requirements are very little. They live on very few requirements.
Yes.
If you go up to high altitude areas and see some of the labor which is working on the border roads, the roads being constructed by the border roads, they live in absolutely paltry, nothing. There's nothing that is available with them. They've hardly got anything with them, and they're happy. They've got their children with them, their wives are with them who are working on the same roads, etc. Yes. This is the stock of people. And this is a great advantage in India, that we have such a rural stock which is so strong, which is so hardy, and whose requirements are so little. It's because the requirements are so little that a small gesture was making them happy. You saw the face of people who came out. I mean, they were happy, but they were a little more astounded by the occasion. The fact the chief minister is standing there, there are all kinds of VIPs hugging them, giving them laddus to eat and things like that. It amazes them more than anything else. And
kind of attention.
It's a golden moment. If you say you need to savor this golden moment, it's the golden moment of India, because India has achieved something, and people who, to my mind, I wrote about this, I think, in the Indian Express also, that these are the people who had no outreach to anyone. They had no links with anyone. at all.
Right.
People could say they didn't matter to anyone. They were important people within their own organization. But
Right.
yet the whole of India came together to pray for them. The whole
Yes.
of India came together to rescue them.
Yes.
That just shows how India has changed over the years.
Right, and we can learn so much from those people who are trapped there. Jan Saab, thank you so much for joining us, and you continue to inspire us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak to everyone here. It's always my intent to make sure that I continue to contribute to the nation in whatever way one can.
Sir.
I shall always be there at the service of the nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Silkyara Tunnel Rescue Operation of Uttarakhand is an example where all Indians have worked as a team. Some were directly involved in the rescue operation, while other Indians were praying in mosques and temples for the success of the operation. This is the spirit our country needs to make us stronger. That's all we have this week. We'll be back soon with another topic. Till then, goodbye from the Matrix team.